Lee, you got any questions on the minutes? If not, I'll make a motion to accept them.
Do so.
Alright, Jeff? Seconds that, alright, all three say aye?
Aye.
Motion passed, okay. Looks like we got some people coming at 9. Boy, they make Larry Glasgow. Ted.
Larry may be trying to get some sleep.
Thank you, Ted.
John be over in a minute.
Yeah.
The ones on the back page are it's a 30-day one.
Yeah, they're carry over in 30 days.
What's that Charm Tech Incorporated?
Yeah.
You know what that is? Charm, C-H-A-R.
No, I had no idea. That's probably, it's gotta be something out of jail.
That Darryl Neal, what did he do for us?
Surveillance cameras.
P.F. Pettibone.
Yeah. I think it's plumbing supplies, I think.
We spoke with Patrick last week. We were gonna try to wait the first year and borrow the money. That's what he'd like for us to do. I'm sure it's on 2013, so, you know, maybe at next week's meeting, we can get that taken care of.
Okay.
Try to get these bills probably. That's what the board decides to do.
Can I take care of all of them for this year?
That's what I'd like to do. So those last 4 or 5, the Rusty Medical can pay for. Looks like.
Yeah. I think that's what she planned on doing from now on,
Yeah.
is just sending those straight to Juanita and
Okay.
pay them out of that fund.
Well, I see Metropolis Drugs right there that we might be able to take care of. I don't know what him and Patrick has
Sorry.
discussed.
Oh,
What do you think?
How you doing this morning?
I'm here.
Heck, I seen you was here yesterday. Nothing's gonna slow you
Well,
down.
I was here all day yesterday till 5 o'clock.
That's it.
And as
Did
mainly,
you not know that the courthouse been closed?
I saw that at 5:30, but it was one of those CYA moves
Yeah.
because it was the last day of filing and I had to be open 5 o'clock in case somebody need a receipt for filing an economic interest statement.
I don't, that's the only one I've caught. I just kinda scanned in through it.
She may have missed that one by mistake.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought she got them all. Yeah, but she just missed it.
We'll get it paid if we can, can't we?
I made a motion to pass the minutes and just
All right.
seconded it. Let you know.
And we will be reading it next week. We'll make sure it's right.
All righty. That's if somebody's here to type it up.
What's that bill, Metropolis Water 1773? Is that just a utility bill, I guess? Must just typed it in. It's on the back page. 3/4 down.
Oh, that's our light bill.
Metropolis water. Got a full house over there?
Okay, we've got 53, and that's been an average for the last 2 weeks. We're staying in the 50s, 13 out of county, and that's been anywhere from 13 to 20. We had as 20 the last month. But 53 now is the normal.
Be nice when we get that count, or other counties up higher. That's not possible.
Remember where we put them?
I know. Our people would be as honored.
I never thought we would have this many people in jail over this length of time. I mean, we've gotten used to it now.
Definitely gonna raise our cost up it.
Are they,
Yeah, I mean, it'll go up some with food, but as long as we keep 13, 15 out of counties, it's, that'll help balance it out.
all them people waiting trial, or some of them just doing time, or?
There's some doing time, but most of them, because they can't post a bond. The bond's so high because of the crimes they've committed. I'd say probably the average bond over there, probably $3,000 to $5,000 cash.
Pretty tough for a poor boy to come up with.
Yeah, especially when you cause them to be unemployed by arresting them.
Yeah.
They couldn't make anything.
Catch
so-
22, I mean, we.
Yeah, their lab had to be shut down. Oh, I forgot the camera's rolling.
Got to shut mine off, Gerald.
It's like a little Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
Y'all still working interstate some?
Ken's out there today.
Yeah.
Did get out there yesterday,
Yeah. Did have a lot of wrecks yesterday?
but no, actually, we only had like 4 cars off the road on the interstate. We had a squad car and an ambulance stuck yesterday at one time, but it was a lot better than I thought it was.
Somebody told me there was an ambulance stuff.
Hillbrand Lane.
Wow.
Some reason between here and Vienna is where the line was, because Vienna got hit a lot harder than we did.
Somebody said Vienna up there is like almost a foot or something.
Well, Sling County had a couple places 14 inches.
But overall, the people down here drove real well, and a lot of people didn't get out on the roads yesterday, stayed off of it. Highway Department did a real good job cleaning the
Yeah, they
primary
did.
roads off.
Hillebrand Lane, that gravel road, some, the ambulance was on there. Just a medical call out there.
The house is on the other end of Hillbrand Lane, I don't know if they
Right
was
off
using-
Country Club Road.
I think they're probably using GPS, and that's the way it routed them.
Okay.
They may not know how to get there,
Okay.
hit a snowbank.
Good.
My goodness, that's just a little, it routed them around Hillebrand Lane. Did the Humvees work well?
Yeah.
Did y'all use those yesterday?
We got one that runs real good, so Larry's people used it yesterday. The other 2 probably have to have some batteries. We'll wait till next year, see if we got some money in the budget for them, but they're gonna come in handy. I mean, yesterday was a good example of that. They'll go anywhere.
What they use them for, just drive around, make sure.
If we had to pull people out,
Yeah.
it's like we were worried about the ambulance, the second ambulance that showed up. It was at an incline, so, we thought, well, if it gets spinning, it can't get out, we'll use the Humvee to pull it out.
Mhm. Wow. So we're all doing pretty well then. I don't have anything else to add unless Gerald or Jeff does.
No.
Thank you.
And you did look good with that snow shovel yesterday. I do have to compliment you on
You won't
that.
find very many sheriffs shoveling snow.
The county clerk did that one time, then he learned his lesson.
Did you get a photo op for that?
No, he didn't. They didn't get in touch with Michelle.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
I guess if you want, just come on up here since the other two's not here.
Okay.
You got anything to talk to us about?
No, the only thing I just, I wanted to come over first off,
Jeff Weber.
Keith Davis. And last week in the paper, it was said that the 911 calls were not being routed properly. And I just want to let you guys know, first off, that the calls are being routed properly. They're being routed the way that we've asked the calls to be routed, and the reason why they're being routed that way. And when we started this back in the late 80s, there were no cell phones, there were no IP phones. And it was, all the calls originated from a wireline, your home phone that came to us through Frontier. Well, now, there's just a multitude of different ways that we can receive a 911 call. And usually, well, the way we locate or identify a caller, get the location information, we get the caller ID. We have a number, and then we can beat that against a database that says, okay, this phone number is at this location, or it has a GPS location associated with it. And the problem is there are many different ways that we can access that information. Typically, we had the database that had all that information on site. It was resident at our location here. Well, with the cellular calls and the IP phones, they route those. That information could be at a different location. A lot of the databases are in Texas. So what happens is if you pick up your cell phone and you dial 911, the voice path of that would come to us, and we would answer it that way. But the data portion of it, once we got the caller ID, it would dip into an off-site database and come back and give us that information. We don't have the technology, we don't have the capability right now of doing that off-site database to pick that up. So what we've done is we have the voice call come into the administrative lines at the Sheriff's Department and at the City PD. What that allows us to do, at least we get the caller ID, so we know who that person is. Then we can make a phone call to pull the GPS information off of that. Okay, that's why the calls are routed to the administrative lines. The issue that I talked to Sheriff Holder, and Ken was aware of, the reason why we're routing them that way and why we don't want to switch carriers is, as Bubba knows, and probably people here in the courthouse, when you port a number to a different provider, when you change it from Frontier to DJK, there's a period there when that phone's probably not going to ring. It's just when Frontier shuts it down, the time that they pick it up, there's just, could be as long as a day or so. So we don't want those 911 calls going unanswered. So that's the reason why those administrative lines haven't been switched over. So that explains the delay and the reason why we're waiting on the new equipment to show up. And once we get it installed, then we'll redirect all of the wireless to IP calls to the regular 911 trucks, if that makes sense.
Let me ask you this, like, I know a lot of people now is purchasing, options, like, they're not having their home, like Frontier, traditional line. Does some people have to be concerned about, I guess you call it the IP, like,
IP phones.
Like they're using the cell phone towers as their signal. Like Verizon has an option over there for $20 that you can use your same home phone number, just plug it into your phone at home. It goes off the signal of a cell phone tower.
Okay.
And does it still, how does it know that 911 is, do they need to call 911 and tell them, or?
No, and there's two different things there. There's the IP phones or the internet protocol phones and the wireless. Okay, on the wireless calls, and what I was talking about is they're porting their number. You're allowed to do that. The phone companies will allow you to move that same number between devices, and that's what a lot of people are doing. They're doing away with their home phones. They're porting that number on their cell phone. When you dial 911 on a cell phone, what happens is they're, based on the cell tower that you're utilizing at that time, that is predetermined if you're on this tower where a call to 911 will be sent. Okay? So it's possible that if you're in Paducah and you're on a tower in Kentucky, you come across the bridge into Illinois, your phone is still in Kentucky. If you dial 911, you'll probably get the state police post in Mayfield or Paducah PD, because that is where that call is routed, because you're on a Kentucky tower. If you're over here in Illinois, it will route to either the city PD or the sheriff's department, depending on which cell tower you're on. And that's the instance where we at least get your caller, we at least get the caller ID, we at least get your number.
So what if you live like, Belgrade Road or somewhere out by the interstate, heads back up towards Kentucky, if you had that device at your home, would it normally bounce off the Kentucky tower maybe?
It just depends, like and that's one of the things that's new equipment and where we're headed, the new technology, what it will be able to do is, the towers, if you look at them, the majority of them, the antennas are stacked. There's 3 antennas in a triangle shape, and what they do is they sector those towers. Like, we have some up on the county line, that the sectors that face south, those calls get routed to Massac County. The sector to the north goes to Johnson County. And it just all depends on the tower, your home tower, and the way the cell phones hand off. So and I've tried this, I've actually done this. If you have Verizon and you have an Illinois number, if you're in Kentucky, it'll roam on a Kentucky tower. You can make it all the way over here into Illinois. You get about the interstate or around Dead Man's Curve and it will drop. And what happens is that's when it's handing that call off from the tower in Kentucky over to the tower in Illinois. Every now and then, if you make it through there and it holds that signal stays strong enough where it's still locked on Kentucky tower, the only way that you can get off of that is you actually have to turn the phone off, turn it back on, and power cycle the thing and let it boot back up on the local tower. So it's subject, it's a whim. I mean, it's subject to fate, depending on where that call goes, because it's all based on the cell tower that has captured your signal. Now, where we're headed, and that's part of the next generation 911, is the GPS information that's embedded with your phone. When you make a 911 call, your actual location, we're changing from a system now where we had a number associated with a fixed location, like you dial 911 from your house. We've got your, from a wireline traditional phone, we have your address that's associated with that number, okay? So we know, okay, call comes in from there, here's where he's at. Well, that all goes away with the cell phones. So in that GPS information that's embedded with your call to 911, we're able to take that location and then we'll be able to identify that on a map and say, okay, Gerald's at Round Knob. And then where we'll go above just knowing where he's at, we'll be able to route that call to the appropriate answering point to be able to get him the fastest response. So even if you're, in one of those instances where you came from Johnson County, you're on a tower in Johnson County, you come down into Metropolis. When you get down into Massac County, you dial 911. The system will know that even though you're on a tower in Johnson County, it knows that you're in Massac. So it will route that call appropriately. It'll come to Massac, even though it's in the Johnson County.
So Massac County's 911 service and Johnson County's and all our surrounding counties will have the same software setups, or I mean, how is their system gonna know to
Yeah,
send it to you?
actually what we're doing is really impressive. What it will do, there's like the 16 southern counties in Illinois are all a part of this organization. They're all linked with fiber. If something, the way the calls will be routed, if something happens here in Massac, they can't answer them, it'll go to Johnson County. If Johnson County can't answer them, it'll go to the next county. And then end up, in theory, if nobody answers, a call to Massac County could eventually be answered in Washington County. We'll have the capability, like right now, some carriers, if you send a text to 911, it'll go nowhere. Some carriers will send a response back that said, that text to 911 are not allowed, or, the call won't go through. But with the new system that we're putting in, you can actually send a text to 911, and based on the GPS, it will route that text message to the proper dispatch, and they can actually sit there and shoot text back. They have video, they can send video, send images to 911. And what brought all that on is the lady in Florida that was kidnapped. She had access to her phone, she couldn't talk, and she was sitting there sending text messages to the number 911, and of course, it wasn't going anywhere. But that's where we're headed. If you want to, I would be more than happy to show you around what we've got going, and that way you'll
Yeah, I will. Make time.
just anytime. And you really will be impressed. And this is just it has been an incredibly long, drawn-out process, but we're getting there. Main thing, rest assured, your calls are being routed properly.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you, Keith. Have a good day.
You guys have anything, need anything?
No, pretty good.
All right.
I should have heard that meeting.
Yeah, all right.